Okay. Okay, now that I've been reminded to press the record button, tonight's competition is abstract and open, and our judge is Becky Witt. Now, just to let everybody know, I've got, I don't know if I've got a cold, I've got flu, I don't know what it is. But I'm going to be jumping off and heading home and jumping back on once I'm home. So I will be gone for a little while, and Bill will be the host until I get back on. And with that, we can start the competition.
Hello, everyone. Can everybody hear us?
Yes.
Give me a wave. Thank
Okay,
you.
good.
I gotta unmute my speaker. This way you can hear.
You want the lights off?
Yeah, you can at least turn the front one off, Phil. With this screen, you don't really need both.
Okay,
Okay. Oh, the other.
the other way around.
Yeah, you could turn them both off. Yeah. I forget they're both the half and half speakers.
Oh,
That
like
instead of front and back, it's like. All right. Assigned B, abstract. Kaleidoscope.
So today, in preparation for this, I just wanted to go over ideas of what makes a good abstract image. And a lot of it's the same thing that you would have in normal photography. So you want a center of interest, you want it to have all the technical qualities. And so I'm not looking at this saying, this is, for me, is a pleasing image.
No picture is shown.
It's interesting. I feel
Wait,
it has a center of interest.
we have no
And you know, by
picture.
doing the kaleidoscopic
We have no picture.
presentation, whether it's probably, it could be a filter, it could be in camera, whatever.
Bill,
You know, you're
it's only
using all
your
the
picture.
lines that are there to take us into the image. There's also the play of color, and that still brings me into the center. Some of those yellows along the edge, the greenish yellows, maybe you'd want to mute those just because you don't want my eye to go there. But right now I'm still going into the center. 7.
Pastel abstract.
There is no
Wait,
Hey,
image
nice
on the
play of
screen.
We're not
images,
seeing-
because that's also
we're not
important
seeing
to
the picture.
abstracts and colors.
Bill,
So
we're
I
not
like
seeing
that
the picture.
play off on the pink versus the blue, and also then using that subtle background, a muted background to set off the rest of the image.
Well,
We have no picture.
Now with this one thing I'd be
Um,
careful with. I think it has some strong
We have no
parts to its
picture.
composition with the colors and the shapes. But I would go along the edge just as I would in any image, because you need to get rid of things that don't help, anything that would distract. And all those little pieces on the left-hand side, for me, those are distracting. Now, they're not that significant as a distraction, but they're enough for me to look at and say, I'd probably get rid of some of them at least. But I will see this again, 7.
Sea of red.
Okay,
Bill,
the one thing I do like in
Bill, you're
is
not, we're not
I like
seeing the
the
screen.
lines of
We don't
whatever
see
is
the screen.
holding the sea of red.
We
Okay,
don't
I
see the
actually know what this is,
pictures.
and it doesn't matter. That's fine. This is abstract. So I like the diagonal lines going through it. Some things for me that are detracting in this image is one, it's a sort of a knit, but it's right there at the top of the image in the center. We got that bright vertical line, so different from all the others. And I don't know that that helps the story. Also, I feel like I'd like to see more detail in whatever the sea of red is. And I also feel like I'd like to have something that's more of a center of interest. I'd like my eye to go someplace. So to me, this is a little busy for it. So a 6.
Tiger lily.
Oh, we're only seeing your
There are
face,
no
not the
pictures.
screen. No pictures.
Okay. it's interesting, abstract in a different way. I mean, we know it's a
Bill, we're
tiger
seeing
lily.
your
It's abstract because it is not realistic, I guess. Okay, so I like this subject. I actually like that the background is.
We're not seeing
totally
any of the
black.
photos.
I
Some
don't think you can
detail.
hear
You
anybody.
do good
I don't
tone
think so
matching.
either.
But like
We
as
can
I
have a
said in one of
chat.
the first ones, I would do, as I would in any kind of
We've sent notes,
photography,
we've,
again, go around the edges.
raised
If it
hands.
doesn't add to the image and what you where you want me to look, then take it out. Okay, so we have things on the right-hand side sticking in, little things there. And on the bottom, there's a couple white spot and a white line. And some of those things are bright enough to start taking my eye away from the tiger lily itself. And and I'm not so sure about like the purple
We haven't got a phone call.
diagonal
Oh.
or almost horizontal
Funny,
line
but-
coming in from the left. I'll say this again, 7.
Old Town Bratislava.
Nice use of shapes. And there, there's so many, I feel like I'm doing the comparison. Pick the ones that are the same, which one's different.
No picture. No picture.
I have to get it. Here
We
go.
only
Okay.
see you, Phil.
Okay, and so from that perspective, I really like this. It's dramatic in one way, all the different shapes, the uniformity of a lot of it, but then these little parts that poke out at me. Interesting. Okay, I'm assuming this is a picture of a building, but if it were me, I would have tried to move the windows around on the right edge and bring them toward the center. So I have, one thing that's different over on the left and then a couple on the right. So my eye is trying to figure out where I go. So I'm not sure that for me is harmony, but I do like this image, and I like the kind of story it's telling for me. 7.
Blue Wave.
Bill?
Okay, so you have some play of colors, the whitish pinkish background, at least that's the way it looks to me here, and then the blues, and you got some very, very subtle shapes because the coloring is very subtle.
I'm so glad this is being recorded.
Yeah.
And I think for this one, I also think the balance is off a little bit. There's a lot happening up in that upper left-hand corner, and then there's a lot of openness, and maybe that the dark blue
Bill, there are no pictures
image on the
showing.
lower right-hand corner
picture.
balances that, but not enough for me. So compositionally, I'm struggling with this one. 6.
Night Fires.
Okay,
Yeah.
I suggest for a dark background like this, and it's being displayed on a dark background, that you put a thin stroke around to see the edge of the image. But so I'm imagining where the edge of the image is. I'm hoping I'm right. But this is the B, so I'm okay. I'm not gonna, there's no disqualification, or take off points for that. Well, I think it's a very creative image. I like the play of the colors. I like the way my eye moves through this image, meaning we have the small red, what I call fire on the left, a larger one, and then we even go back, it goes back on the right. So you have some perspective and some movement going through this image. And I like that. I'd be careful about the edges. Of course, I guess this is one where you had to decide where you cut it off. But I might have, after I cut it off, I might have cleaned up the edges just a little bit, so I didn't look like I was clipping things. It looks to me like now on the left, I'm clipping, and on the right a little bit. But those are sort of nits from the way this image works. 7.
Sandy Hook Sunset.
Very interesting aspect of Sandy Hook sunset.
Oh, that was mine. Yeah.
Well, I do feel like we have a center of interest here, but also some of the interest for me is along the outer rim of the red sun. well, that's sort of the sun, where you can see the land and I guess that's not the sun, the red sky. Okay. It's an interesting way of viewing this. I do like the all the diagonal lines on the edge that sort of bring me towards the image. Okay, so the sun, the really bright whites, for me, that detracts from it though. I keep going there and it's like, but hopefully that's not where you want my eye really to go, because there's all this other stuff in the image. I do know that taking taking an image that includes the sun is really hard, and this is an abstract. So I'm still, I'm just thinking that compositionally that is not the strongest for me, but this is interesting enough that I want to see it again. 7.
It's a blur.
Okay. I do like that it's almost realistic in the center where I can see the Gerber daisy or whatever flower it is. I like the blur going out from it. However, on the blur, I would get rid of some of the white spots because again, my eye goes to the brightest and that white is taking me away from your center. All the other lines for me lead into that center. But when you have white along the edge like that, that takes it away. Now, I don't know, maybe I'm sure there were white flowers
Anybody
that's
hear
doing
me?
this, but I would
Hello?
tone them down. I would clone over it since
Anybody
this
muted?
isn't realistic. I would have done something to take
He's
out some of the
muted.
whites or at least
He
bring them
has
down
muted
in
us,
brightness.
and all we see is him.
This is the B class, and I think it was a very clever view, and I'll look at it again. 7.
Disco swirl.
Okay. One of the I like about this image is the movement. My eye keeps going around one circle to the next circle to the next circle and back and forth. And I really like that. I might have, now this is one where often, I say talk about like darkening down centers and stuff to keep your eye in the center.
Like that.
So the dark green actually is enough of a
Yeah, you-
contrast up in
okay,
the
you
upper
can-
right that I'm considering would have I lined that up or whatever. But I gotta tell you that I didn't really see that till later on, and my eye kept going around and around, which I really I like. So this is one of those where you make me want to look at it.
Yeah.
And I realize there's some specular highlights and whites, but in this case, they're more or less in the same luminance as a lot of the other colors. So from that perspective, they're not distracting, or not as distracting as they would be if they were really, really just in your face whites. I like to see this again. 7.
Designs in ice.
Nice image, and I think the choice of putting this in black and white and really pumping up the contrast works well. The one thing I think though is I think there's a little too much in this image. Just like any other photography, I think part of it is keeping it simple so I know what is the subject when I'm looking at. Even if I can't tell what the subject is, I want to know where my eye is supposed to go and where I'm supposed to rest. And right now I find that most of the interest is in the left-hand side of the upper left-hand side of the image. But there is stuff down on the lower right that keeps taking me away.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, I think compositionally it could be strong. Technically, I think it's very well presented and very strong. But compositionally, I think it could be improved and maybe go for a little less. And maybe I'm not even looking for where you want me to, where the photographer wants me to look. Okay. And there's a couple of nits, I'd watch your edges, even on something like this, and I'd watch where the bright whites are. So there's a couple of bright whites I would just tone down a little bit. Not all of them though, because that's what's giving you the textures and the feel. I'd like to see it again. 7.
Flower.
Cool use of the flower and the curves. Again, technically you handled the brightness very nicely. You know, it looks, I can see detail in the whites, the pinks, not some of the, excuse me. Just take a sip. I don't see a lot of detail, but there is color and contrast in the very, very purple part on the right, sort of the right-hand side. So that doesn't bother me because I feel that still keeps with the rest of the flow. Again, this is a dark background showing up on a dark background, then white border would be helpful. 7. Okay, let's go through those and I'll score them again. Okay. 8.
Who?
8.
Who knows?
No,
7, primarily because of all the little things
we
around.
don't know what she's looking at. We have no idea what she's looking at.
9.
We're gonna have to watch the whole thing.
8.
How are we gonna
7.
catch it? All we see is him.
The replay. Being recorded.
7.
This is,
Oh, I don't know.
9. 8. 9.
Right.
or do we have his phone number?
We have no phone numbers.
Sign B abstract. Equal, wait a minute, why didn't that come up? Excuse
Go
me.
back to show how you.
Bill, we
Although it
can't
already
see
showed.
anything. We're not, you need to share your screen.
We're not seeing your screen.
He's in his own
But-
world.
Let's see reverse.
Reverse, you have it sorted by photographer, you have to sort it by reverse score order, no,
Right.
all the way down.
The
down.
sort.
That's what I was looking for.
Yeah, down, down, down.
Bill,
No, not
Not
down,
that.
down. You have it
Oh,
sorted,
Bill?
yeah, oh, that part, I'm sorry,
Right.
Phil.
reverse. score
Thank
order.
you.
Reverse score order.
Told you
Okay.
we were doing something the last time.
I know you
I know
said
somebody
that.
didn't change it. Me, probably.
Okay,
Bill,
reset.
Okay, abstract B, honorable mention. Kaleidoscope, Margot Partridge.
Okay. I
There's
get
only a
that.
couple of us, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Pastel abstract, Bill Hanson. Night Fires, Francine Silver. Designs in Ice, Francine Silver. Equal Merit, Old Town Bratislava, Margot Partridge. Disco Swirl, Bill Hanson. Flower, Edward Schulman. All right, yeah,
Congratulations.
thank you. It's not one of my good subjects. Okay, assigned A abstract, reflection.
I
Frustrating.
can't stand this. I'm gonna make the phone call.
For me, what makes this is the colors and the movement through the image as you track the different colors. It seems to move for me from upper left to lower right. And I really like that. I don't know if I need as much on top as I have, but you know, I guess that's nice because it makes it may balance it better. You have a lot of darker colors on the bottom and lighter colors on the top. It's not one where I'd say I really have a center of interest, but as I said, my eye moves through it and I think it's well composed from that perspective. 7.
Rusty Bolts.
Okay, I guess abstract in the perspective here that from the perspective that we're not looking at the whole thing. All right. Well, I like the textures. It doesn't look that sharp to me, and I think I'd really like the bolts to look sharp. They just look a little soft to me. So I would have liked to have seen them, I think, a little crisper.
Pick up.
And I do like the difference of textures
Okay,
between
the
the really, the corroded rust
Club.
and the part where like the rust is worn off and it looks
See
smoother.
Is Bill's face, no pictures.
And this is another one where I'm wondering if we have more than we need in the image. Because I feel like I'm going back and forth between the different halves of the brighter part of the image. 6.
Angular.
I called Phil's, but he went to voicemail.
Who?
Phil Witt.
Okay, and I like the different shapes and I like the different tonalities.
So somebody called me and said that the only picture they can see is your face.
Uh-oh,
Oh,
Uh-oh.
Jesus.
Did go through.
Some-
For the
technical difficulty,
Technical
give us a
difficulties.
chance, a
Oh,
chance.
yeah.
I can't see both at the same time. You know what? We didn't share screen. I am sorry about that.
Still there?
Yeah, apparently.
There we go.
I thought I heard his voice
I
talking.
gotta get the text message on this. Oh, that's why that didn't come up. I apologize, folks.
Yes,
Please watch. I don't even know if the video
Oh.
will show up.
the entire
Okay,
time.
well,
I don't think they will.
it's my mistake. Okay, let's go back.
Oh, I'm sorry, because you missed a lot of good ones.
I,
Sorry.
I-
All right.
well, that's
We'll
trying
go.
to do both at the same time. I guess I screwed that up.
Yep.
Yes.
Mary probably was trying to tell us.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. Oh, well. I guess nobody has my scoring.
Will this be now
there we
recorded?
go, there
I
we go.
have no idea.
Okay.
Okay,
Selection.
okay, that,
Oh, wait a minute.
okay, go to the unscored ones. Just
Oh, none?
none, yeah,
Okay.
none scored.
Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry about that, folks. Signed A, abstract, angular. There we go.
Okay.
Back in business.
so what I liked about this is the shapes.
Benefit-
And I like the different, the textures on the shapes. A couple things that I think would make this a stronger image. I'm not sure about the base, meaning the very horizontal set of textures. All the others have a very similar flow to them, and that sort of stops me. So if I was going to keep the base, I might even put in even less of it, or maybe none at all. It just seems to me to be incongruous with what else is going on there. The other thing is I really don't like the white spots. I think you have enough detail in here to show us the textures and the ends of the different shapes without having those white spots. Now, I don't know if that meant, I don't know what we're shooting or what we're photographing here, so it doesn't matter from that perspective, but it does in how it's showing up. To me, those are distracting. I also wondered, since, one way to make interest in an image with abstract is to actually use some more complementary or different colors. These are very much similar, although the blue is cooler than all the greens. But there's a lot of similarity in tonalities here. So from all those perspectives, all those responses of mine, a 6. Okay, looking down the lock.
Upside down.
Yeah, it's a reflection.
Okay, I was, you might at first say this isn't truly abstract, but it is in that we're only showing part of the building or part of the structure. Okay, I do like how this is presented. I like the tones. I like us going from the warm tones, the warmer, the more yellow tones through the oranges down to the cool blue. I think we might have a little more than we need in the sense that for me, the most interesting part is the left 2/3 of this image, where we start to get to like the wall or whatever it is, that's just sort of brown and whatever. That's about where I would cut it. First of all, that would take out a lot of the empty reflecting sky in the water on the lower right-hand corner. And I think that would strengthen the image.
That would be great.
Yeah.
We were all
Okay.
trying to get.
I
his
still think it's got potential. I think it could be stronger.
attention. Complain.
But I liked what the
And
photographer saw and captured. So I'd like to see it again, 7.
Green starburst.
Okay, this is a very nice image, and I like where you place the center of interest in one of the powers of thirds. And I like the burst in that all the other parts of it are really using all these diagonal lines to bring my eye right into that center of interest. And then eventually I go out and look around and see what else is there, but I keep coming back to that center of interest. So from my perspective, this is a strong image from that way. It's, it's not the most colorful. It's more or less one color except for the center of interest. But I think it still works. 7.
Over the dam.
Cool.
I like the perspective. And that's another thing with abstract, trying to find a different point of view, a different perspective. So I like what's happening here with all the diagonal lines leading from the whites into the really cool blues and then the blacks. I'm not so sure I like the whites on the bottom right,
Yeah,
because they sort of distract me.
Maybe a better
they
block.
look like.
I don't know if I would have cut it off a little
Open
higher than
nose.
that.
Better block.
But I do like the flow of the way the eye flows through this image. And again, since this isn't being realistic, the fact that, there's textures, but not necessarily noticeable textures in some of the whites, that's neither here nor there. 7.
Eye of the storm.
Okay, done in black and white. Okay. Whoops. Okay, so in Eye of the Storm, again, the center of interest is in the lower third, one of those power spots that makes it give it a little more drama. And this one's different though, because we have all the circular motion going on.
Eye of the storm is.
Trying to get that to go away.
I know, that's fine. I'm ignoring it. I'm ignoring I'm
Yeah, I'm
ignoring that
just-
too.
I know there's a way to make it go away, but it's not working.
All right.
Didn't you just drag it the last time though?
Yeah, I did, but I can't even get my thing to pop up. There we go.
Okay, thank you.
Oh,
Okay, so we're back. But what you did use is you used the lighting here, the darks and the light, to draw your eye across from the upper left through the center of interest. And that actually is very pleasing. In some ways it doesn't have the most impact for me, but I'll see it again. 7.
levels of amber glow in abstract.
Nice capture, nice use of textures. There's smooth glass, looks like textures in the other parts and some of the reflections.
Hotel.
Lots of nice shapes to follow.
Floors.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool.
Yeah, I
Balconies over.
and I realize again, this is one where the whites are pretty white, but it's abstract, it's reflections.
The
It
center
works in
area
this
of-
because it's truly just geometrical from all that perspective.
We had that in,
Yeah,
And it's the smoothness of the white comparing with,
Washington.
and the smoothness of the blacks, the glass comparing with the other
down in
parts of the
Birmingham,
reflection.
Alabama too, when I went to the Nationals.
7.
It was a huge center.
Fall colors.
Blah.
Okay, this one's a little more colorful. And it goes to the center. And there's a little bit in the center that is almost sharp or focus. That's what I mean to say. And not that it has to be in focus. And then we have all the radial lines leading into it. So that's a very nice idea. And again, I guess we know where the eye is supposed to go because all those diagonal lines lead us right to the center. And this is pretty much centered, which is okay for this kind of thing. 7.
Icy patterns.
Email or something?
no. I think it's this
What is that?
Safari.
Okay, so like other images, I think abstracts need to be simple
Mhm.
enough that we really know where you want me to look. And I think you want me to look sort of in the upper middle third. How do I say that? There's some really interesting pieces of ice there. And I think a lot of the rest of it for me distracts. But I do like that you use depth of field to help me get there. What I would have liked, I think, is to tone down some of the lower part of the image, which is very bright, and to lead me into that central part where we have really sharp focus. And I think that would make it stronger, or just pick something a little less to focus on something specific. So I think there's some good aspects of this, but I think it could be a lot stronger. 6.
A medley.
Okay. Good use of color and contrasting colors to really set one off and make a very graphic design. Graphical in the sense that, you know, I don't know whether the image is the blacks or the colors. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's the background that it's the cutout, or is it the colorful part? And that's okay. That's what's keeping it interesting. I feel like a broken record, but I am bothered a little bit about on the right-hand side where the little tail of the blue comes back in towards the bottom right side. And I don't know if I would have cut that out or not. I can see that it's really a continuation of the part above it. But it is an interesting, I wish it wasn't cut off like that. But this is a very striking image and a really nice use of colors and black. You know, the empty space and the colored space. 7.
Abstract of the oculus.
Nice use of leading line in the curve going through from the bottom up towards the upper left, and a nice use of all the curves of the slats going across, but also the juxtaposition of the vertical lines in the bottom right. And the only part I'm not so sure about how it balances out is the little bit of tiling, or what looks like little bits of tile, small tiles, on the lower left. That to me, I get a little confused about that. The rest of it, although it keeps it interesting, I'll say that. The rest of it, I like how my eye moves through this image. I like how I go through, and then I come back and I look at the vertical lines, and then I come back and look at those little tiles. Okay. 7. Good handling of light.
Okay.
Okay, I got a lot of 7s to go through. Now here's going to be primarily where impact will make the difference of whether it gets promoted to an 8 or a 9. Okay. 8. Seven. I just think if it was cropped differently, this would be stronger. 8. 9. 7. 9. 8. 9. 9.
Signed A abstract, honorable mention. Reflections, Wendy Kaplitz. Green Star Burst, Wendy Kaplitz. Fall Colors, Wendy Kaplitz.
Okay, Wendy.
Equal Merit, Over the Dam, Jim Chelan. Levels of amber glow in abstract, Wendy Milligan. A medley, Fernando Gomes. And abstracts of the oculus, Wendy Milligan.
Right.
Okay.
Joe,
Yes.
before you move on to the salon, since I didn't get to see the bees, you may want to just run through the award winners.
Yes, I actually wanted to also do one thing while we're here. Okay, where's the chat button? Here we go. Where they can get to me. Okay, back to share screen. Nope, there we go. There it is. Wait, no, sorry. Oh, Jesus. That's why I don't do two things at once in my life.
Okay, go through
Okay.
the-
You know, why won't that go away?
Oh, wait, when you did that little piece.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna go, sorry about the technical difficulty, folks. Please stand by. Oh, I gotta cancel chat. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, if everyone, we're gonna go back just to review the contest for assigned B since nobody did see it,
Except for us.
except for us. Sorry about that. Honorable mention. Kaleidoscope, Margot Partridge. Pastel Abstract, Bill Hanson. Night Fires, Francine Silver. Designs in Ice, Francine Silver. Equal Merit. Old Town Bratislava, Margot Partridge. Disco Swirl, Bill Hanson. Flower, Ed Schulman.
Okay.
Okay, folks, now for assigned A, Salon. Dahlia Abstract.
Okay, we have nice contrasting color. The off-white and the reds and a little bit of pinks and other colors between those. And so that's a nice use of color. I'm looking at the pattern and unfortunately though, to me, there's not a really strong place for my eye to rest. The pattern's a little heavier and stronger on the lower left-hand side, and it gets a little less dense as you go across. But that's not quite enough for me to follow through. It's well executed. It's just I don't know that the composition is that strong. I'll look at it again, 7.
Imagine this.
Okay, so we got the beautiful textures of the knotty wood. And then we have a busy background at the top. And I'm trying to imagine this. I'm not quite sure where the maker wanted me to look. I mean, I think maybe there's too much in this image. Or did you want me to look at the darks and the lights? Did you want me to look at the hole, the knot in the wood? Or you just want me to look and say, hey, this looks like a dinosaur. I don't know, dinosaur's head. So from that perspective, I don't find this as strong an image as some of the others I've seen. And I just feel that the lighting could have been used also to help bring my eye wherever you wanted me to look, or more cropping. 6.
Bubble Surface.
Nice play of colors and actually nice play of shapes with the 2 curves on the top, sort of then leading me to the stuff that comes under it. Also the difference in brightness. So we have some areas that are more bright, which is where my eye goes first, but then you start to move it around. And I think those curvatures on top are what help keep your eye within the frame. 7.
Pre-case cement wall.
Well, I appreciate the geometry in this, and I do wonder if a little more contrast would actually bring out the geometry more, or possibly using contrast selectively to bring out a specific part of this so that my eye has a real center to rest on. Or use the light that way, use some lighting and some dodging and burning to bring my eye in. Right now, I find it interesting. I just find it a little, well, I find it hard to figure out where I'm supposed to look. There's a lot here, and I know where I want my eye to go, but I keep looking at other places that I don't think are as interesting. I'll take another look, 7.
Red and white.
Nice use of shapes and colors. And we have all kinds of shapes going on here, all these diamonds. I'm going to call them lots of diamonds going on. But then we also have some of the bands, and then the reds are used, the reds and the whites and the different shades of red or orange are used to help lead my eye throughout and focus on this. I do wonder about the upper right-hand corner. I think well, I think it would be balanced just a little better if that upper right-hand corner, say up to where the orange comes through the second or third tier of orange. I'm sorry, it's hard to explain that. So that some of the whites were toned down a little bit, because then I think I'd look even more at that center white spot where everything is. But I find it interesting. My eye does move around here a lot, and I find places to look and to land. 7.
Oil on water.
Okay, so interesting play in colors again. We go from the cool blues up through the pinks and the yellows and oranges. So we have that contrast of warm and cool. We have the shapes as well. It certainly was a choice to leave such a large negative space in the lower right-hand corner. And from that perspective, I don't know how well balanced it is, although I do like the shapes that we have. Otherwise, technically, I think this was well handled. 7.
Pansy mania.
I'm looking at this because I'm trying to figure out, well, where is my eye supposed to go? How am I supposed to flow through this image? Where does the photographer want me to look? And one of the things that, okay, so I see all the blocks, and we have little black blocks separating parts of it on the edges and in the middle. And I see that. I just don't know that I follow through as well. And I'm wondering, is this the kind of thing? Some things work well on your wall, but don't necessarily work well in a camera club competition where I got to look at this and in 2 seconds give you a rating and critique. It's an interesting way to project this and to show it. I just don't know that it hangs together for me. Technically, it's done well. Well, actually, there's one white spot in the lower left-hand corner that I don't think is done well, and a couple others. But in general, it's done pretty well. But I'm going to give it a 6.
Swirling.
Okay, we're here with the salon. You should know better to put a border on here so I know where this image begins and this image ends. So I'm going to guess, and you're going to be rated on what I guess. I do like the image. I like the shape. I like how it moves my eye around and around and around, and I keep exploring different parts of the swirl. I like the play of the different colors. I like the geometric patterns that the crosshatches make, the lines and crosshatches. One thing I say though is I have no idea where this is placed in the image, so I have a feeling it has a lot more on the left than it has on the right. And I'm not sure that that helps. And again, I'm guessing because there is no stroke. Okay, but I'd like to see this again, and a 7.
Bubbles.
Oh, okay. I like the center bubbles. I like the different shapes. I like how you use the contrasting colors, or complementary colors, the pinks, pinkish purples and the yellows and golds. I like the detail in all the little bubbles. I think you can give me less on the outer edges, because for me, the interesting part is in the center, and I think there's just a little too much on the outer edges. But that's a matter of taste, I'm sure. 7. Okay, let's go through it. 7. 9. 7. 9. 8. I'm still going to give this a 9, but I just think there might be some balance issues on the edges. 8.
9 salon abstract. Honorable mention. Oil on water, Lenny McDonald. Bubbles, Lenny McDonald. Equal merit. Bubble surface, Lenny McDonald.
Okay, Lenny.
Red and white, Charlene Federowitz. Swirling, Charlene Federowitz.
Okay.
Okay, open B.
How am I doing on time? I guess
Pretty
I should
good.
move a little fast. Okay,
We only have like half a dozen in.
okay.
Open B. Groovy.
Interesting position of the model. I do like that you have the shadow, because for me, that really makes this. And I guess all those lines, I mean, I'm not even sure what color the clothing is, but I do like the lines going through it. I wish some of the whites though of the lines were just a little less bright. They just seem to really pop out. And I think you want me to look at the model, not so much at the white ruby lines. So I think some of the whites need to be toned down for me. But I think it's well executed other than that, and I'm going to go with a 7.
Newcastle Island at dawn.
Okay, I'm glad that you chose to use a pano view of this rectangular going lengthwise in the horizon. I do think that you probably could have even gone more of a pano. I don't know that you need quite as much sky, and I probably don't need quite as much water. And for me, this is more of it's a capture. I'm wondering if there's just too much in it. Do we need more? Do we need everything to the left of the lighthouse? I mean, we go back and there's other little buildings back there, but it seems to me that the two major structures are the lighthouse and the house next to it. 6.
Mating swallows.
Okay, so you got some action here. Well, actually, the swallow's got some action, but the idea being here, I think I think you need to tone down your background and your foreground here. I like the birds. And obviously this is pretty bright light and we've got a good shadow going on. So it probably is not quite the time of day, but that's when they're doing it. Okay, so my point is, you got a really a bright and colorful background, and that's taking my eye away from the action of the birds, the subjects. And the same in the foreground. And a lot of those could have been toned down, if not in capture, then at least when you were post-processing. But you did capture the action well, and they're, you got them with they're sharp. So I'll give you that, and we'll look at it again. 7.
Mrs. Roper Barkroll.
Okay. It is a funny picture. It does get a laugh, and so it does evoke emotion. I wonder if her eyes were open, if it would look even different, she was looking right at us. And I guess, part of me was saying, do we need all the bottles above her head? But, that makes it part of the bar crawl, I guess. Maybe a little less from top. And a lot of the whites are really close to the edge. Now you got to be careful because the way we're looking at this is on a TV type screen. So that's a different kind of way of looking at the light. The light is handled differently in those images than when you project it onto a screen or when you look at it on your monitor. So these look a little bright. Okay, something different. 7.
Magnolias.
Yes, you caught the magnolias. You got some nice detail in the magnolias. You got the light coming through the magnolias, and you got a blue sky. This might be one where if you took part, just one section of the magnolias and really focused on that, it actually might be stronger. We got a bit of empty space around here, and I think you'd be better off filling the frame with only a couple of the images. So go close. Don't be afraid to go close. 6.
Peninsula Dune. How do you say that? Magnet.
Yeah, the Magellanic.
Sorry for that, whoever put that in.
Okay. So we're looking at a glacier here, and that's interesting. Okay, so I do like the perspective. I like that we can see way up into the glaciers till we get to the parts in the clouds. I might even cut down a little bit more. I mean, the clouds, once the clouds cover part of the landscape and we can see that, a lot of the rest of it is not as interesting. What I do find somewhat of interest, and I'm wondering if this would have been better off. I don't know how you'd make it better off. I do like seeing the person at the bottom because it does give scale, but I like that idea. Although it sort of makes like we have two different pictures going on for me. Okay, I'll take another look, a 7, but I do find the composition not quite as balanced as I'd like.
Coming at you.
Okay, so you caught the turn coming at us and pretty sharp, but you got a lot of distractions in the background. So you got to be careful of your backgrounds because now we got all the buildings and stuff like that. So I really think you need to be aware. I mean, great, you get excited, you capture a bird sharp, that's wonderful. But now let's try capturing the bird sharp with less of a distracting background. 6. Okay. Eight. 7. 8. Oh, this is a tough one for me. I'm going to give this an 8 because of all the good detail in it. But I still would like to think about in my future. I'm gonna go home and think about what I would do differently on this one. So 8,
8?
8,
Okay.
yeah.
Open B, honorable mention, Groovy, Bill Hanson.
Nice one.
Mrs. Roper Barcroft, Margot Partridge. Peninsula de Magnolias,
Imagine one.
thank you, Margot Partridge. Okay, open A. Stormy Freedom.
Well, this is interesting because I like the juxtaposition of the two structures, you know, one in front and then the tall one rising up. Although that actual perspective means there's a lot of empty space in the upper left, or actually from the 2/3 of the left. So I don't know if there would be a different way to get some of this and have some similar juxtaposition. I do like the detail in the textures, and I do like the vignette. I think that helps us focus on where you want the eye to go. 7.
Mushrooms.
Okay, so this is, so some of the mushrooms in the front look sharp. Mushrooms can be tough because they're that softness and they can also reflect. But then we have focus drop off. And somewhat that bothers me just because they're still pretty bright. They're still where your eye still wants to go. And from that perspective, that is distracting. And I'm looking at the substrate above it that's so nicely detailed. I almost think there's a beautiful picture in there. Okay. But as it stands, 6.
Channeling Hopper.
Oh, okay. All right. So that's why it's sort of high key. Nice use of shapes. And I'm glad you saw this. But some of it I'm not so sure about, but I really like the first big block, the little house or building, maybe a garage, and I like seeing the house behind. I like the way the sectioning of colors, how we have the really warm color of the sidewalk and the very blue of reflecting in the window and possibly the sky above the little building, the main one in the center. I might have cropped it even a little bit more, but then maybe lose some of your yellow because I feel like we're seeing the edge of that porch. It goes into something else like a gate, or maybe it was, you know, a door going into an outdoor shower or something. Okay. And that I find a little distracting, but I like what you saw here and I'm liking how you presented. 7.
Stuck in a Hard Place.
Okay, so we got the mockingbird on top of the pole, and we've got all the barbed wire. And I like the title, that makes it very interesting. I might have chosen to present this differently, more vertically maybe. I mean, obviously you still want to leave some of the barbed wire in to give it that perspective. And the way it is now, I might have taken a little bit off the left and maybe even a little bit off the right. Well, actually, I would take a little bit off the right, maybe a little bit off the left. Okay, let's say it that way. I see it again, has a lot of good detail, 7, but I just think it could be improved and strengthened.
Street scene in Buenos Aires.
Okay. Well, you captured the colors and they are nice contrasting colors. You did capture it, you know, you've got some contrasting light here, so the time of day isn't really helping you a lot. Since we got a car that's really bright and shiny in the front, and we got good shadows underneath and darkness. So from that perspective, I'm not so sure about it. Also, I think I'd like to see Oh, maybe they're mannequins. I think they're people, but maybe they're mannequins right behind the car. Okay. Just a little too much for me here and just not a good time of day. 7, I'm sorry, 6.
Red hot rod.
Okay. I like the idea of looking through the red hot rod to some part of the engine. But what I would like is I'd really like some part of that engine to be really sharp and crystal clear. And that isn't for me. There's a lot of, if it may be glare, but it also looks softer to me. And I'd like less of the red on the right. I'd like it a little bit more centered and looking at the interior of the red hot. Okay, so 6.
I spend my life at sea, Razorville.
Okay, so this was very much stylized. So I've got to go with that. That's fine. I actually like it. It's sort of simple. We've got a bird over the water and you see the reflections in the water. It's not realistic. It's more graphical. I'll see it again, 7.
Tree growing in stone.
Okay. The lighting is not so great on this image. And also I think very much this image says vertical to me. We've got a vertical pillar of stone. We've got a vertical tree. I would have said vertical. I don't know that all the space and empty space on either side and even above it is necessary. But I also think the lighting is not helping you. And I think you needed some better lighting here to get some more detail. Also, if you cropped it and went vertical, the actual subjects take more of this space and be more obvious in the picture. 6.
Quiet storefront.
Nice lighting, whether it was the way it was captured or the part of the processing or both. I like that. I do like the storefronts and I like looking down and into them. Some of the reflections on the windows are a little bit confusing for me, and I would tone them down because there's some of those bright whites in there, and that's starting to take my eye away from where I think the eye wants to go, and that is looking at those 2 entrances. See it again, 7. Nine. I'm going to give it a 9. 7. 8. 8.
Open A. Honorable mention. I spend my life at sea, Wendy Milligan. Quiet storefront, Fernando Gomes. Equal merit. Stormy freedom, Wendy Milligan. Channeling Hopper, Fernando Gomes. Finally. Open salon. Bubbles on the water.
Could have been in the abstract. Okay, I do like the bubbles and I like the contrast in colors. I love the blues and then the warm beiges, browns, whatever colors they're beiges and browns in there. What I think I might have done is I would have not included the truncated bubble on the left. I'd either include it all or I'd get rid of it because I think along the left edge. I probably would have cropped this a little bit from the right, such that I would not have quite so much empty space in the lower right-hand corner. And the white island in the lower center, I think about toning that down. So there's a lot of things I see in this that I like. I like the movement through this image, but that white blob there just really stops my eye many times. I'll look at it again, 7.
Spinning gold.
Okay, I like the colors. I like the blues and the warmth, you know, the contrast of the blues and the warmer colors. I like that you have a pattern. Unfortunately, though, the pattern primarily just goes up and down the image, and that's pretty static. I'm wondering if there was a way to turn, I'm wondering if this could have been turned on its side and actually would have looked a little better, because there is that wave that's sort of going circular through, and I would have liked to seen that better, I think. Okay, but it's presented this way. I'm also wondering if, you know, a little dodging and burning or vignetting would help also bring my eye and keep my eye in the center focus. 6.
Fox on the hunt.
Fox looks nice and sharp. We got a lot of detail in the fur. I'm not actually sure that I see detail in the snow. I'm assuming it's snow and not sand. But in any case, but I still like this. I like to see him in his environment, or her and the fox in the environment, since I like seeing some of that environmental stuff around him. I do wish he was going the other way, though, so that the light would be in his eyes, but it's not. 7.
Water droplets.
Nice motion through this image, going, you know, lower, right up through the lefts and up to the top. And really a lot of nice motion going. I like the colors changing subtly from the yellows, reds, pinks. The droplets are nice and sharp, and they're varied in textures and sizes. So from that perspective, this has a lot of interest and impact. 7.
Watching the competition.
Okay, I like the expression on the young man's face. I like that he's tying his shoe. I'm wondering if you could have taken it from a different angle. I gather that's his bike or scooter or whatever, and that's part of the story of his competition, but it's intersecting with him. Also, his hand is cut off by the intersection of one of the boards coming up by his foot. So for me, some of those are important. I'm wondering if I'd like seeing his hands, but I would like to see both his hands and his foot there. And if I couldn't see that, I wonder if I would just go in for just the face. 6.
Peeling paint.
Another nice abstract, good use of colors. The warm colors and the cooler colors juxtaposed and setting each other off. You know what, though, about this image? I feel like there's something of interest on the right-hand side, where there's looks like, you know, some nice peels going on, and on the left-hand side, but in between, it's a lot less interesting. Okay, I just, the composition just doesn't look totally balanced, or maybe it's balanced, but where I think your eye should go is not a lot happening in it. So compositionally, I don't think this is that strong, although I do love the colors and stuff. I'll see it again, 7.
Oh, sure, okay.
Nictating.
Nictating stare down, thank you.
Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. One eye is nictated and one eye is open. Okay. So you got a nice sharp image. It tells a story. It's a nature story. Most people would say, oh, I'd rather see both eyes open. And that's one view, but okay, I'll go with the nature story. I think it could tone down the background. The yellows in the background start to compete with the reddish yellows, you know, the golden reddish color in the bird itself. So I think I would have desaturated the background a bit to make the bird stand out even more. but it's sharp and it's an interesting image, and 7.
Catching the light.
Okay, this is an image where I think less would be more. I think the interesting part of where the light's being caught is where you have the leaf really lit up, sort of center, and you have some shadows coming from the other part of the leaf. All the others just doesn't really seem to add to it to me. I know you've got the longer stem going through it, but that's bright and taking me away from the leaves as well. I just think compositionally, and this could have been simplified and you'd have a stronger image. 6.
Fresh.
Barnacles. Okay. Interesting capture, and something that you even saw this isn't of interest. The side lighting helps because that gives more definition to the barnacles. I still wonder if there's some set of the barnacles, some subset that would be stronger image. This is a lot to take in and a lot to view. I'm not, and my eye isn't particularly moving around here or through here or to anything specific. You know, whether you use dodging, burning, or basically cropping and or zooming in on something, I think it'd be a stronger image if we had a little less and something more specific to look at. 6. The color play is so strong in this. I'm going to give this an 8. Another 8. A 9. I'm going to give this an 8. An 8.
Open Salon, honorable mention. Bubbles on Water, Lenny McDonald. Fox on the Hunt, Ellen Stein. Peeling Paint, Ellen Stein. Dictating Stare Down, Lenny McDonald. Equal Merit. Water Droplets, Lenny McDonald.
Well, thank you, everyone. Some really nice images.
Any
All right, folks, does
questions
anybody
for
have any
Becky?
questions? If not, I don't think Ellen's, oh, Ellen's still,
Yeah, I'm on.
Someone's on.
can't hear anything.
She's the out.
Oh, she's the, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing anybody.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
I
Now
can hear
you-
you now. Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
We got you on the TV.
okay. Does anybody have any questions for Becky?
I don't. I'm here.
I guess not.
Okay, if not, I'll say goodnight to everybody.
All right.